Half Skull Face Art Tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish. So I'm going to begin by parting my hair, and this is parting the section off that I'm going to be painting. And then I'm just going to clip the other half, or the majority of my hair, off to the side, comb that hair back behind my ear, and then I'm going to be smoothing it over with it's a really thick gel. It's called hair putty that I'm using. And this is hopefully going to keep my hair to stay down the best I can. So then after I got that smooth, I'm going to be using some hairspray and smooth it down even more. And I'm going to twist that hair back and pin it underneath the rest of my hair. Now, if you have shorter hair than I do or just less hair, this might be an easier process for you. But for me, getting my hair smooth was the biggest battle. So then I'm going to basically separate my face in half. I'm going to start the line at that part and then just curve it around and paint it or draw it straight down my face. Next, I'm going to be smoothing my eyebrow down so it doesn't get in the way. And I'm using a waxed base hair product. Otherwise, you can use a glue stick, or if you've got special putty that you can use that as well. And I'm going to powder over that so it's not sticky. And this takes quite a bit of powder, just so you know, especially if you're using a glue stick. So I'm just using just regular face powder. So I'm going to be painting all the areas where I'm going to do the skull with white body paint, except I'm going to leave two spaces. I'm going to leave a space around my eye and a space kind of around my nose for where the nose of the skull is and where the eye socket is. And if I make any very strange faces during this video, I apologize. I make strange faces when I paint, and you don't normally see that in my nail art tutorials because you don't see my face. But you get to see my face in this one, and all the weird faces I make are prevalent. Anyways, I'm going to add a second coat just so that white is really super bright, especially over my hair, because my hair kind of soaks in the paint, or it goes to the lower areas. It just doesn't stay on the top. So you need to add several layers. So I'm going to be just blocking out the areas with black body paint. And so I'm going to start with the eye socket. And any of these lines can be fixed or changed later. This is just the first stages, so you want to make sure that you're, looking at a picture of skulls so that you think you can have them right. But if you do make a mistake, it's really easy to fix. And then I'm going to work on the nose, which is kind of half an upside down heart. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of sketching for the teeth. I'm not going to sketch out each individual tooth, but just where the teeth should go. And then up on the cheekbone. And then the area of the jaw. See, like that line went a little askew, but I'll show you how to fix that. You just repaint it. So then I'm also going to add a line separating the front of the skull from the back. And then I'm going to be filling in a couple of these holes with black body paint. And I'm just going to begin to sketch out the jawline. So now, as I mentioned, I'm going to be touching up the white. So you can just go over it. But when you go over lines that are black and you want to make them white again, don't press the brush too hard against your skin, and it's going to pick up the black paint and you're going to end up with gray. So just sort of graze over it and it'll turn white without a problem. So now with black eyeshadow, I'm going to be shading my skull. And so I'm going to use just an eyeshadow brush. And I'm going to first just go along the edge. I'm going to do different areas throughout the face. And when you're doing this, I would suggest using either old eyeshadow brushes or have some that you got really cheap someplace that aren't your favorite really expensive ones, because you're kind of rough on them and you're, using them against body paint and all this. So just, don't use your favorite brush. One thing you might want to remember is that a skull isn't going to look perfectly white no matter what. So don't be too concerned about overusing the black eyeshadow, because you can go back through and easily lighten it later on. And you don't want it to look too white and too perfect, because it won't be perfect. It wouldn't be perfect if it was natural. So I'm also going to go through with the black eyeshadow and shade my hair. And pretty much everything I do to my face is going to need extra on my hair. So if I do just shade over it once with the black eyeshadow on my hair, it's probably going to need to go over twice. I mean, on my face, it's going to need to go over twice with my hair. So then with a small angled brush and still your black eyeshadow, we're going to do the teeth. And first I'm just going to sketch out where they go. So just making little lines just to know where they are supposed to be placed. And then I'm going to go through and add where the root goes. So just make the bottom of the teeth pointy. And your teeth should get thinner as they go towards the outside of your face. This is going to give you some depth. And then add just a couple more lines to the bottom and shade in beneath the teeth a little bit. And then repeat the steps for the top. So I'm going to be highlighting the teeth with white body paint. And you want your teeth to look really super white, so try and prevent any black from blending in with them. And then as I mentioned about, you can lighten any of the shading you do with the black eyeshadow. This is what I'm doing now, which, you know, when you're painting something like this, it's a lot of adding shadows and then adding highlights and then just going back and forth with that process. You're not going to get it right the first go at it, so be prepared to go back and forth with white and black just until you get the right balance in all the right places. So then I'm also going to be going over with some white on my hair again. And when you're painting this, I would suggest having a couple pictures that you can look at. One that's at a skull that you're looking at face on, and then one that's the side of the skull, so that you can get a better view of like the area that you're painting your hair with. Just so you have a couple different perspectives so that you know what you're painting and you're not just doing it blindly. And I'm going to do a little bit of highlighting in some of the black holes. And then I'm going to be adding really thin lines just to separate out the teeth a little bit and make them look sharper. So then, this is up to you. I decided to add some cracks along my skull. You know, I've been dropped on my head once or twice, so my skull should have cracks. Anyways, so just really thin lines. And if you water down your black paint just a little bit, it'll make the thin lines a little easier to paint too. So now I'm going to be adding a solid black line that separates my skull side of my face from my, I guess what passes for normal side of my face. And then I'm going to be adding so it looks like I've got cracks going along, so my face just doesn't look like the edge is just not so blunt, it's got a pattern to it or something. So just add some more cracks. And make sure that when you're doing this part that you completely fill in your jaw with black so that you don't have skin tone showing out the bottom. And then fill in your ear with black. The hardest part about filling in your ear is to paint the back of your ear. You can either just try and do it blindly, or I had my mom just go and she painted the back of my ear. Or depending on how your ears are, if they don't stick out like mine do, you might not need to paint the back of your ear, so that's a problem solved. And then paint the hair behind your ear black. So then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tightline my upper and lower water lines with just a black eyeliner pencil. And then I'm also going to use an eyeliner pencil to fill in the area of my lips that doesn't have teeth on it. And use it, either sharpen your eyeliner pencil or use a different eyeliner pencil so you don't cross-contaminate between your eye and your lips. So then paint the rest of your eyelid black, and I left part of my eyelid so that when I was opening and closing my eye during the painting, I wouldn't crease it right off the bat, so it would last a little longer. So that's why I waited until this part. So then paint your eyelid and then cover it with black eyeshadow, also to further prevent creasing, and also it'll deepen the color and make it look a little bit richer too. And now I'm going to curl my eyelashes and apply black mascara. You definitely don't want to apply brown or brown black mascara because it's going to show up like a sore thumb. So then on my other side of my face, I'm just going to start by applying some eyeshadow primer, some nude eyeshadow, and then in the crease I'm using gray and black. I'm going to highlight my brow bone with white eyeshadow. And then I'm going to put white eyeliner on my waterline. And I'm going to do a winged eyeliner. So I'm doing this with body paint. And I always do my eyeliner with body paint. I think it's way easier than trying to mess with eyeliner. That is my own personal preference. I don't know anybody else who uses body paint for eyeliner, so you can use eyeliner if you're more comfortable with that. And sorry, my face is moving around so much. I've never videotaped putting on makeup before, so it was a new experience. So then curl your eyelashes and apply mascara. And then I'm going to put some concealer underneath my eye. This is going to cover up any fallout from the eyeshadow and also any dark bags under your eyes that'll help cover up. And then I'm going to line my lips with red lip liner. And then apply some red lipstick over the top of that with a lip brush. And be careful that you don't blend the red with the black of your other side. So then I'm just going to be applying some face powder. And then I am all done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like my tutorial. Please share recreations with me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I would love to see them. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!